You can hear me all right?
Yeah, man.
Beautiful. Righto.
Here we are.
My mother asked me to ask you if you'd like to join us for dinner.
Why?
I was hoping you'd know.
I don't know. I feel like weird people. The people that watch it like tend to really watch it, and the ones like it's weird. Like I don't know. Not many people watch it, but the people that do like really watch it.
Oh, I haven't been able to get into the full stuff. I'm not very computer.
It's because it's all behind the paywall. But I've got to start putting it for free. It's this on a list of things to do this week.
Yeah.
Haven't got there yet.
Because I listened to the 5 minutes of your mum thing, and I was like, I love that one.
That was fucked. That was
that would be hard.
And it was the
And your
first
sister,
one,
yeah.
and like it was. I mean, I've only like 10 or 11 episodes in now. I think you're 11. But anyway, sitting here like all you can hear is these people, and here's my mum on the other side of the room, and hearing about like how, you know, like how hard it was and all this stuff, and it was like. It rattled me. Like, and then, and Mum was saying, in it, Mum was like, oh yeah, you know, I asked her, like, when did you realise I had a problem, you know, it was an issue and all this. And she said, oh, you know, early on, 15, 16 or something, you're always drinking heaps. And she said, oh, I left you, she said, I wrote a heap of letters that I could never bring myself to give them to you. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And that really, really rattled me. Anyway, so I did SJ, the next one, my sister, and she's in here. And I was like, you nervous? She was like, a little bit. And I was like, it'll be fine. She was like, hope I don't upset you. And I was like, you can't. I was like, Mum told me she left me these letters. And SJ was like, I read those. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, they were always like around the house. I think Mum was like leaving them hoping you'd find them. I was like, fucking hell.
I guess it's probably just the reality of it was bigger than you.
That's
and the impact, because I think, you know, we feel that it's just about us.
Yeah.
And especially when you are in active addiction, we just think it is. It's just us, but we don't actually see, you know, the holistic side of the family impact that it also has.
Yeah.
It's pretty widespread, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. I think I'm on, you know, somewhere maybe. You'll find. Okay.
Like this.
Don't stress.
Do I have to wear these things?
You don't have to. You'll probably find it easier.
I now can hear you properly.
You can hear me, and you can't hear yourself.
No.
Cool. Okay. I think. Oh, good. Tap this so I know where I am in the video. Okay, just say something.
Hi.
Yeah, sweet. Okay. So today we have Karen. Karen works at R.A.W, and I suppose the simplest way to describe it would be you were the... What's your actual counsellor?
Outreach support worker.
The outreach support worker, I suppose that was probably the biggest part of me getting into detox and rehab, I guess, would be from my point of view, I think it would be a good way to describe you. Does that sort of sound somewhat accurate?
Yeah, I just pushed you along a bit, I guess.
It was, and I guess in a nutshell, SJ, my sister, who's been on here as well, who a lot of people know from all my social media and stuff, she was the one who, well, as far as I'm aware, rang the bell, made it aware, that reached out to R.A.W, I think. She was...
We've discussed this, and that's very confidential, remember?
Yeah. No, that's all right. But yeah, well, she's told me that it was that it was her. Yeah, and I suppose that's the other thing we should cover as well, that this isn't a normal sort of situation. The stuff that you guys do, it's only because I suppose I had somewhat of a social media presence beforehand, and I've been all too happy to sort of get my story out there. So this isn't the people that you guys help and talk to and stuff. This isn't this isn't normal. No one sort of knows about it. It's only because I already have that presence and I'm trying to push so hard to get people help and stuff. So
yeah, it's not normal that we come and talk to people about what they've been through, I guess, and share it with anybody else. That's purely confidential. It
is. So yeah, I think we should just it pays to mention that to start with. But so obviously you were you saw me at like my absolute lowest, the bottom of the pit.
Yeah.
And even before that, I suppose you saw me transition to my absolute lowest, because I when you first came round, I remember I was at the shearing shed, and because I'd sort of stopped working, and I was just in a bad way, just mentally, and just drunk all the time, and had just sort of lost all drive to do anything apart from drink. And I remember the old man had given me, it was just busy work. He wanted something like a trench dug or something at the shearing shed.
Yep.
I was there doing that, and your ute rocket in, and I still remember seeing like your ute put in, and I was pissed. I was so angry, and I remember you sort of just said, you were like, "Oh, hi, this is what we do, and is everything okay?" And it was a pretty short interaction.
Yep.
And then I remember as soon as you left, I rang pretty much everyone in my family and went ballistic, telling them to stay out of my business and nothing was wrong and all of that. And it quite obviously couldn't have been further from the truth. But that sort of sounds somewhat about what happened.
Yeah, I went back through our case notes this morning from that time, and do recall turning up to the shearing shed and you were digging a trench, and the look on your face when I drove around the corner was not overly welcoming. But yeah, it was interesting, I guess, to see your reaction then to where we ended up.
Definitely. And I mean, not only that, the whole, I suppose, that initial interaction to where we are now, but all the stuff in the middle as well. Like, I fought, so like, to start with, you were the enemy in my eyes. I'm happy in my own little depressive world. And I suppose that's the other side of it as well. When I first started looking back at it, it's all, I had a problem with alcohol and it's alcohol addiction and all of that. But the other side of it, which had sort of only occurred to me recently, was all the, like, I suppose that mindset of being around that, like how just depressed and dark and doomy and stuff I was as well, which is, I suppose, the other side of it. You're just not in a good mindset.
Yeah.
But yeah, from that initial first meeting to where we are now, but the stuff in between was, I feel that was like that was a large part of the battle. When I was sort of making, like, going back over my journey, our journey.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I jotted down about how I think for a lot of people would assume that once I sort of agreed that I needed help to get help, that, the battle's won. But realistically, I mean, from my point of view, I think that was when it really started to get hard.
I agree.
It was, so you rocked up, didn't want anything to do with you. I rang everyone in my family, abused them. And then, I mean, I suppose everyone, that's the beauty in what you guys do. The approach for everyone to be different and knowing how to approach that. But I get people asking me all the time, how it was successful, how you were successful with me and stuff. And again, everyone's different, but I feel like your approach with me, and you obviously felt that out and made a decision on the best way to go, which worked. But it was like consistent, gentle sort of suggestions.
Yeah.
It was just, you were like very, very frequently trying to at the start as much as I was avoiding it, but like being consistent in just saying g'day. And to start with, you were obviously pretty aware that I was dead against, you being anywhere near me.
Yeah.
But just g'day, how you going? Like avoiding the elephant in the room. And then just slowly introduce, if you do want to talk, you can ring me. And then, slowly a bit after time after that, if you want to do this without trying to, I suppose, scare me and startle me too much.
Yeah.
Which obviously, everyone's different. I know people that I've read forums and stuff where people think that's the worst approach you can have and all that. Everyone's different. And again, I guess that's the beauty of what you guys do. You know what to sort of know how to develop a method for each individual person. But that's what from my point of view, what worked, what you did for me and what.
Yeah. Well, I guess you weren't going to tell me everything if you didn't trust me. So it had to build that relationship to start with, for you to let me in. Mm. And that still took a while, but we got there.
And we were talking about it just before we started as well, how it was only after it all happened and I got on the straight and narrow. And, I said to you that I was like, I was feeding you shit the whole time, which you guys are obviously well aware of. But at the time I was, you ring up, how's things? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. When it couldn't have been further from the truth. Yeah. And then I've got, I won't read out your parts, but I'll read out my parts of the messages that we that sort of took place, I suppose. So to start with, there's a heap of messages that you've left me on Message Bank. You're trying to get a hold of me, and me not just trying to avoid you. And then we had a conversation on the phone. I texted you after it. Oh, no, sorry, you left me a message because I wouldn't pick up. And I texted you back and I said, I'd rang the acute team. They said they've put in a referral with the drug and alcohol detox team. I rang them and I can't get an answer. I feel like I need to get something happening now. I need to get in somewhere ASAP. I'm going to stay with Chantel tonight. Her and I were living in separate houses. We'd split up. But I feel I need to get admitted ASAP, but nothing seems to be happening. So, and this is the point, I suppose, where, or just before this is where I'd agree. I was like, yep, there's a problem. Like, I need to get help and all this sort of stuff, which is, like, as I said, I feel where it got really, really hard. Yeah. Because it was all, it's not, I feel alcohol, problems with alcohol is very common, but getting help isn't, or at least wasn't back then. It's sort of, I feel it's changing rapidly, but it's not a real common thing. It's not, you break your arm, everyone knows you go to the ER sort of thing. Yeah. But sort of no one really had any definitive answers. I went to the doctors, and even the doctor, he just said, it's dangerous, you need to get detoxed. But then to get into getting detoxed was a whole process as well.
Yeah, I'd written down some stuff today when I look back over our notes, and I think when you first made that connection to get detoxed, they said it'd be a month. But they then suggested you keep drinking, and your family were like, this is so backwards. Yeah. And obviously to keep you safe and not just to stop drinking straight away, that's what you had to do. But I think during my notes I found there was something where you had taken a bit of a dive with how much you were drinking, and probably a bit too fast, and you ended up crooking in hospital. So it was it was all, to me, when the doctor, I felt like it was the easy way out when I was when the doctor told me that. Part of me was stoked. I was like, I know that I need to get help and all this, but when he was like, oh, you got to keep drinking until you get detox, and basically they take it out of your hands, it was sort of felt like there'd be no hard work for me. I was like, this is brilliant. Like, I don't have as much responsibility, which, I got through it in the end. But I still remember Mum was just devastated, and I was I was stoked with it, but but and then once we got to that point, and I was like, yep, I need help, and trying to get me detox. And this is when I sort of was messaging you. The next message I sent you, and I said, I need to go to hospital tomorrow, but I need to know that they wouldn't be able to, that I wouldn't be able to leave. I'd hate to sit there in the emergency room waiting, but I would 100% do it if I knew that I would be admitted. I wouldn't be able to leave after I crossed that bridge. I couldn't deal with just being told to make an appointment with my GP if I did that. I'd have to know that I'd get admitted. I'm willing to do that. Like, I was a fool at just... Yeah. Which again, is a hard thing to do. You'd think that someone that, you ask for help, you're supposed to get help, but then it's so far from being as easy as that. Yeah. And it would have been hard as well. Like, again, it was a very selfish time in my life, but for that must have been an immense amount of pressure. Like, it would be to put onto someone. You've been slowly chipping away, and then it's like, okay, I'll get help. But then I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'll get help, but it's now. Like, I need it now. Like, it's, and it was a lot of people. Not only you and Mum and Chantal, everyone in my life was all just. I put a lot of pressure on people, I think, and not only that as well. There was, because it was so hard, and there was so many, brick walls that we sort of run up against. Like, I'd go through these stages. I remember feeling like it, where I'd push. I'd be like, okay, I need to get help. Oh, I'm willing to do this. And I'd go and see the doctor, and I'd go and had appointments. You couldn't get detoxed unless you had a certified counselling service or something. Support, until afterwards. And we weren't, I think, maybe, I couldn't remember if we weren't sure if that could be you, or maybe I was going to get a second one just in case, but for whatever reason I was trying to find another one. And that was like, and I'd go to these appointments, and it'd just be brick wall after brick wall, to the point where I'd just be like, nah, this is too hard after days. And that's where
you'd sort of like really, really pick up the slack even more and be. But then again, you can only do so much, ringing these places because you're not me. You know, they can ask you questions, but I've got to have some part on it, and it's just, it was really, really hard. Like from my point of view, it's Yeah,
and I guess as we discovered, there's no stepped out process for anyone to go through this. It's one step forward and 10 back, it feels like at the time when they say, we can probably get you into detox in a month, but you need this, this and this before we get to that point. And then you set that up and then they say, oh, but you also need this. And it was a process.
I can see too, like I'm lucky I had, you and my family was like more than supportive. And although I live rurally, but not super rurally, I suppose, we've got good internet connection, all that sort of stuff down here. All like there's so many forms and stuff to fill out. Again, stuff that I do a bit and this is all too hard.
Yeah.
But I can see how it'd be super, super easy for people to like if they didn't have that support to go, no, it's easy just to continue down the path I'm on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I was just super lucky, very, very grateful. I always had someone there to pick up the slack or to push me along and all that. And in the end, I made mum power of attorney in the end.
That was a process too.
which was a process in itself. I thought this is going to make everything easy, and it did somewhat. But that was, I suppose, that was the point I was at. I was like, I don't have it in me to do all of this.
Yeah.
And mum, obviously, you'd do anything with your kids. Mum wanted to try and get me help and all that. So mum took on power of attorney, which she still is. I found out the other day. I thought about it. But yeah, that sort of made it a lot easier for me, I think. But yeah.
Yeah.
Was it frustrating? Like, I suppose, I imagine it'd be frustrating, like, for you. So like, I'll rephrase it. Like, I love what you guys are like. I think it's brilliant, and I'd love to be able to do it. But like, I know that I couldn't because I can't. Like, I get real fixated on things, like not wanting help for one. But no, I get super fixated on things, and like I couldn't leave stuff. Obviously, you guys help people flat out and stuff. But realistically, at times you'd have to switch stuff off and leave stuff at work so you don't take it home and stuff. Which I know that I just wouldn't be able to do. I'd like beat myself up about stuff. Was it frustrating, like seeing me, like trying to help me and me like pushing, like just being like, no?
No, I think to begin with, obviously, you want things to go as smoothly as they can, and that probably just took a little longer, but. Yeah, I don't think it was frustrating. I think it was just a matter of time. And like you've said to me in the past, you had to hit the absolute bottom before you were going to do anything about it. So it was nothing I did was going to speed that part up, I don't think. It was just you knowing that I was there when it happened, that I could be there to help you.
That's the biggest. And again, because there's a lot that I couldn't do and didn't know the process and all that. But yeah, I suppose to get to that point, and as we were talking about before this, like that's, I suppose, one of the big parts that that Raw play is sort of bridging that gap between people that need help and whether they want it or not, and then them getting help, and you guys sort of fill this massive, massive void that there is of getting between those 2 points, which is just fueled with all sorts of emotion and difficulties and whatnot. Which is an amazing thing. And not only that, like the stuff I suppose as well, like talking about is leaving stuff at home. Like Sarah said to me, when she was here, that there was times where like you and her like you'd come and see me, and then she'd message or just her reaching out going, I haven't heard from Garrick for a day, or she's like real bad. Me hearing that stuff was like that really shook me up and stuff. But it'd be hard to sort of deal with. It's an amazing thing to be able to deal with people at their lowest and try and get them back to such like a good point, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And not only that, as like so once I got to rehab, that was sort of where our journey, I suppose, not ended, but was put on pause for a while.
Yep.
And going through the messages, like, one message, all I wrote you was just like, I need them to take me away. And then a sad face. And then it wasn't long after that I they rang and gave me a date, and they said, I think it was in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something from when they rang me, which was awesome. And I suppose a bit of somewhat pressure was taken off you guys for sure from that part. Still having to get me to there, but
it kind of happened really quickly when it did.
It did. It was, Which we were, like, everyone was told otherwise. It's going to be, it could be up to 3 months and all of this. And they rang me unexpected. I still remember bawling my eyes out when they rang me. I was like, this is like, it's going to happen. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then that's when our journey was put on pause for a bit. But then it was after that when I came out of rehab, and I don't know if I told you or whether maybe SJ told you. I can't remember if I reached out to you.
You reached out to me. I did find that.
Did I?
Yeah, it was, I don't even know what date it was now. 26th of February.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know what date you got out, but you'd rang and you said that you was excited because you were sober, but it felt weird, but in a good way.
Yeah. Because I mean, not only... Yeah, so you'd helped to get me through this massive roller coaster of me hating you to then like me slowly letting you in, and then, you just flat out helping me as well, trying to juggle with, I'm messaging you multiple times a day in here going like, help me now, help me now, help me now. And you've got other people, that are probably going through the same thing. But to go through that, to get into rehab, so you got a bit of a break from me. But then it was, when I came out, that sort of our journey sort of kept going in from there, and you were not you were like reaching out every like couple of days to start with, just sort of checking in, because I know my mum was, and I know that there would have been a lot of people that would have been like, how's this gonna go, like is it sort of stuck, has it taken, which it did, thankfully. So but and then I suppose, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like slowly weaned me off would be a good description. But I suppose as I became more like confident and reliant in myself and my ability and all of that, because there was still like in the early days, and I remember I was still very anxious and bits and pieces, and you'd give me exercises and things to do and stuff, and all that sort of stuff, until I sort of got my head around sober life and whatnot. So it wasn't just the sort of that initial part. It was probably like a whole 12 months at least, of sort of, which is mental to think about, like crazy cool. Yeah,
no, I'd written some notes as well about when you got home and we caught up and you explained what had happened during your time in there, and just things like we set up a default schedule for you that if you was at a loss and it was a rainy day, that you had something to keep you busy and things to do, so you knew that you were okay, or you said you were learning a new normal, and the big one was learning how to sleep because you had feelings when you tried to sleep.
That was crazy. Going from in detox, I was on like 100 and something milligrams of Valium to acts the same way as your body, so that's how they bring you down, sort of get you away from the alcohol. So I had no trouble sleeping there at all. I was asleep most of the time. But then to go from there into rehab, and being in a room or being in a house with, I think there was 9 other guys, or I was the 9th guy, that wasn't very big, and I was the only drinker. A lot of the other guys had really, really troubled past. A lot of them were fresh off, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a massive sensory overload. And so trying to learn to sleep without the Valium or alcohol, and in like a pretty high stress environment, and that was strange. And then got through that obviously, but then coming home, it all changed again to, like, I suppose I started to become aware of the journey that I'd put like you and my mum and everyone through and stuff, and just every time we lay down, just sort of those thoughts going through my head, and trying to learn to switch them off without knocking myself out, sort of thing. That was crazy. Yeah. What else have you got that you jotted down?
I don't even know what date it was, but I remember you said to me that you had a moment where you felt like having a beer, but you passed a mate on the road.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
And so you knew he'd be angry with you if you did. So you went and had a massage and spent the same amount of money on your...
And I went out for... That's right.
Yeah.
So I'd forgotten all about it as well. So, yeah, that was nearly at the 6-month mark. And at that point, oh, yeah, I'm sweet. Things are all good. And it was a Friday arvo, and I was doing a job that was a bit over an hour from my place. And I left there, and I was like, I was on my mind all day. I was just, I don't know why. And I'd left there, and I was in the car. I was going in and out of just like, oh, you've done 6 months. Most people don't even get that far. It's not the end of the world. And then I'd fall, and then I'd like snap myself out of it, being like, no, like, don't do it. And it was so hard, like just in and out. And then I passed Mano, who, before I'd gotten to rehab, when I'd made the decision and, I was like going to get detoxed, him and I were talking on the phone. I said, that's what I'm going to do. And he was like, good. He's like, glad, that's a good thing for you. And he's like, now that you've made that decision, if I ever see you drink again, I'll beat the shit out of you. And I passed him on the road. And then Chantel rang me to the kids. She'd pick the kids up from school and daycare and stuff. And they rang me just by chance. Oh, how's your day and stuff? And got a phone to them. And it was just like so amplified, just going in. And I could physically feel it in my chest, like just this pain. And I thought, if I get home, and I rang a mate and I said, I'm coming over. And he was like, well, it's not the best idea, but, mate, if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. Yeah. And I went home, and I sort of like was trying to trick myself in it. I was like, if I get home, I'll be fine. I know, like, I've got no beer at home. If I get home, I'll be right. And I was towing the excavator because it was Friday and we finished this job. And I drove home, like went past the turn off to his place, drove home, like pulled in the excavator and just burst into tears. I was just so, just exhausted from this in and out. And then, the young fella, or my eldest, Tyrone, he came home and I was like, we're going to the pub for tea. And went down to the pub for tea. And I spent, I can't remember, it was like $200-300 or something on Keno. I was like, pick this number and that number. And he said to me, he was like, this is like, what are you doing? Like, because I don't really gamble or anything. He's like, what are you doing? And I said to him, I was like, dude, the reason why we're here and this is because I was going to have a drink. And I was like, I would have blown, God knows what I would have done. Yeah. I would have spent that money in that night, but then the flow-on effect from that, I was like, it was like a reward in some case. And then, I got a massage and I took it easy on myself after that. But I'd forgotten about that. That was, and that was like, now I think it's been, or just ticked over 2 years. And now it worries me to say it, to voice it in case like it comes back to bite me. And I did think of them, but now I honestly do feel that I'll never drink again. Yeah. But having said that, I thought that at 6 months as well. And then that happened and it nearly got me, but I'm glad. I think that was the only time I've really had a thought, like an actual thought to sort of fall back into my bad ways, I suppose.
Yeah, and I guess like you shared that and then, how hard that was, yet probably not long after that, how excited you were that you got pulled up and put on a breatho. So it was, you knew that you'd done the right thing. And that was the first sort of, my first outing. I think about things a lot, I think, probably more than most, but giving myself the best chance. I didn't, like coming out of rehab, and I thought, right, I'll just seclude myself away from the world. No one needs to know I'm back out or anything. Barely did anything until I could sort of start to reintegrate myself into society. Missed out on parties and weddings and all that sort of stuff. And then it was my mate Justin's 40th, and that was the first proper test. And I didn't want to have a drink, but it was hard because I was sitting there with guys I'd grown up with, and they're doing all sorts of stuff and drinking flat out. And it got to, I think I stayed for an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours, but it was no longer than 2 hours. And I was like crawling, like I was like, I got to get out of here. Left and just I was so down on myself, like, you piece of shit, can't even stay there for your mate's 40th.
And then, yeah, coming home and the police pulled me over and I remember filming it. It was like, oh, just a breath. I was like, I've got to film this. And I made sure I had the car off so he couldn't do me for having a phone in the car. And I was like, I've got to film it. And he was like, what? And I was just so excited. I was like, I've just come out of rehab. I've been like 6 or 8 months or whatever. And I've got to film it and I don't drink anymore. And I've nearly ruined my life and all this. And this dude was just like, whatever. Like he just, it was such a big thing for me. He just didn't care. But yeah, that was huge. And yeah, that was another... They were good. They were 2 small, but to me they were big wins, I think, to sort of to keep pushing me along. And at the time, I was still smoking then. I only gave up. I think it ticked over 200 days the other day, but around that sort of same time, when I was going to see the doctor, I said to him, because about that 6 month mark, I've kicked this, like, I'm all over this, I'm going to quit smoking. And I went and saw the doctor and he was just like, let's just slow it down a bit.
I remember having that conversation with you and we're like, let's just wait a little while.
Yeah. I just thought I could take it. And I'm glad I did because, I mean, I just stopped. That was it. It was, well, actually how I stopped was because of the pericarditis, which is a side effect from ex-alcoholics.
Yep.
So that's why I was sort of in and out of hospital before I went to rehab and then since after, which is one of the things as well, the last photo of me in hospital, which was one of the ones that I sent to you.
I was about to bring that up.
Which is, I'll put it in, it is the worst photo ever. And I remember you saying to me, you're like, oh, one of the approaches, that might work for you if you do, because this was after this sort of 6 month near slip up, I told you about that.
Yeah.
And you said, one of the things we can do is if you feel that itch, that urge again, is there like a phrase or a saying or a photo or a something that, that'll grab you and then sort of think about it. And I knew, and I was, oh yeah, I'll think about that. Can't think of anything, but I knew straight away. I was like, it's this photo, like it's this heinous, my nose is all sunburnt. And I've got like the ECG stuff hooked up, and it took me ages. I remember telling you about it. I was like, I got this photo, but I didn't send it to you for ages. No. But yeah, so one of the that's sort of one of the things that drag pericarditis, which I've sort of only. I mean, I went back to hospital again a couple of months ago, but slowly get on top of it now. But it's just weird, like the sort of I suppose the after effects of all paying for the sins of my past is how I describe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's that was one of the questions actually that I had when I put on that you were coming here. If anyone had wanted to ask, so someone asked me about the pericarditis, and that's basically about what it is from drinking. But I don't think it's stress related. I don't know if you know anything about that or not. You're not.
No, not really.
No, me either. But someone asked me about that. But it's literally just from drinking, and I think it might be a side effect. Actually, it is from COVID vaccines as well.
Oh, right.
Apparently, because I go into hospital and I'd be like, oh, I'm dying, I'm having a heart attack. And they'd be like, oh, it's pericarditis. And no one would sort of care. They'd be like, oh, it's just a side effect from the vaccine. I'm like, no, I'm unvaccinated. They're like, oh, fuck, hang on. I'm like, maybe there is something. But yeah, did you, when I came out of rehab, and did you think I'd got, like, were you, I suppose you'd, 80 on the side of caution, you'd be there for either way, whichever way it went. But Did you think I'd get it on the first go?
I was pretty confident given when you read me your diary and stuff from when you were in rehab.
Yeah.
And how you'd set yourself up with routine, I guess, to come back out, and, you didn't leave too many moments in your day where you could have any spare time to think about too much, I guess. Fairly confident and always hopeful, but as you said, was always going to be there if it didn't work.
I suppose as well, like it just sort of reading the messages out, me going, help me. Like once I got to that point, I was like, so I need help, I need it now, it needs to be faster. I suppose all of that was, I was ready. I wanted it for sure.
Yeah, and I guess seeing you from, driving in the driveway and you pretty much running the other way to being so desperate to want the help, then was pretty confident that is exactly what you wanted to do. I wasn't going to get you there if you didn't want to.
No, not at all. Not at all. The another one that someone asked me was, why did you think detox rehab was the best treatment path for me? And despite my resistance, what did you in the what did she see in you to make you wouldn't walk out? Make you think that I wouldn't walk out once I was there. That's sort of not really. I mean, that was my decision, not yours. Like, it's not like you weren't the one that. Yeah, as I said, you're just there to support me in getting better, I suppose. As you said, it's me. I had to decide.
Yeah.
You guys were there to make. I want to get detoxed. Right. Well, you need to go and see a doctor. Okay. And not that it went like that, but lots of arguments in between. But that all came down to my decision, I suppose. And that's sort of where, you were just there to help push me and pick up the slack. And
yeah. And I guess when you look at the amount that you were drinking, that was the safest way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what all the medical professionals were telling. So,
have you? I don't know whether it should be all right. Do you? Since I have been, because I'm very vocal about what happened and all that sort of stuff, and that you guys I did videos for you guys and stuff. Do you think that there is more? Do you think that me being vocal about it has had a positive impact on, like, do you guys seem busier, I guess is what I'm asking, or I'm not trying to say that, I've helped, all that, but I'm just curious whether
Yeah, I think it certainly opened a lot of conversations up. Like, people are, have seen your video and seen what we've shared and spoken about it and gone, how'd you get to there or what have you. I have no idea if there's any direct referrals because of it, but we know how long it took to get to that process of, thinking about that's what you should do to doing it. So I guess there's still people out there seeing it going, oh, maybe that's what I should be doing. And
it's a hard one, like what you sort of saying, what you guys do, essentially. I think it's a hard one to market. Like, as we were talking about it before, you guys essentially fill this big gap. I mean, help people in so many different ways, but for my scenario, you fill this gap of, I needed help in lots of different scenarios, but mainly getting detox, getting rehab, and then getting me to that point, and you guys fill this big gap. That's a hard thing to try and, like, put on a brochure or, or on a flyer sort of thing. And I tell people, like, almost to the point where I feel guilty that I get people asking me, telling me their problems. Oh, have you got anything? I ring raw. And then, like, almost to the point where I feel guilty the amount that I sort of subliminally or, like, almost put on you guys. But that's, I think to start, like I say, oh, raw help, you guys help me, you're a large driving force and helping me get there, which I suppose then a lot of people, that I've told, and they say they may have other issues. Oh, talk to Raw, and they're like, oh, but I don't need to go to rehab. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Like, that's not just what they do, sort of thing. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's support. Is there like is there a mantra or motto that, like, I just feel like there's some. It'd be good to sort of. I don't know how you'd market that to.
I'm going to look at Christy now.
Don't know, but it's it's an interesting sort of one that what you guys do, and it's not normal, and it's sort of, I mean, the impact launch that I came to, which was just so cool, but to go to that, and I think those things are massively important, just the same as, although this isn't the norm, you guys coming, it's only because I wanted to do it and I think it'll do good, but the more people that know about it, you guys don't fit one bill. As I said, it's hard to put what you do on a brochure. So to be able to get funding and stuff for that, it's just like, we just fix things. Like, it's hard to, explain what you guys do. So things like that impact launch and stuff like this, I think, would definitely help.
And as for, like we spoke about the motto or whatever, I guess, it is just talk to a mate. That's what it is. Obviously, you need that trust and build that relationship for people to open up to you and tell you everything, but that just can take some time sometimes, as we've discovered. As
we said, like, every approach, what works for me. So I read somewhere on, like, on the internet somewhere, it was like, if you baby them, you bury them. And all these people are just like, that's so true. I tried to help my daughter and my mum and all this, and this loving kind approach, it just made them worse. And I was like, fuck, that's like the opposite. Like, that's what worked for me. But it's, I suppose it's trying to find the...
Yeah, and I guess we had a lot of conversations that were nothing to do with what was going on, just
Yeah, so, but yeah.
to try and, get to know you. And I remember talking to you about self-care and you're like, yeah, right, whatever.
Yeah.
But I needed to get to know you well enough to know what you're like to be able to fill those gaps. And I remember I wrote it down today. Obviously, one's your shooting.
Yeah.
But the other one, at the time, you told me your therapy was moving the rocks in your driveway.
Yeah, that was... And it's... Funnily enough, I tell people that now, people that come over, I'm like, before I went... Because I started that before I went to rehab.
Yeah.
And I was like, all those rocks, I carried them one by one. They're like, what the... Like, why? And I was like, it was just... I'd switch off. And now, funnily enough, it's gone from moving rocks to picking up sticks. Oh. I get this really... Like, it frustrates me if we get, like, big winds and stuff and limbs fall out of trees. Then I get out there and just picking the sticks up and putting them in a pile. I find that so good, which is strange. But it must be, I don't know, it must be something in us because Miller, like my youngest, he seems to enjoy it as well. Might just do it because I do it. But
yeah, and just being outside in nature, all of that stuff.
It's so, which you and everyone tried to tell me as well, being outside. All those things that I suppose that's the other thing. I was so closed off to just... I had in mind, I just need people to leave me alone. I'll be right. I'll be able to figure it out. Not like the doctors and you guys and my family and stuff. All these people giving me advice and just thinking like, you guys are retarded. Like, you don't know anything. But yeah, not realising that you guys had my best interest in heart, sort of thing.
Yeah. Which
was great. But yeah, that's... I mean, it's not only me that you helped. It's that flow-on effect. Like, I often dwell back. I often find myself thinking about, like, what could have happened. I don't think I was in a bad place, but, like, I wasn't, like, selling cars to buy beer and stealing shit and stuff like that. But I often think, like, fuck, could I have gotten to that point? Yeah. And it's a pretty cool thing, I think, to think about that, like, you played such a huge part in that not happening, and just not only how much better my life is, but like my kids, like every single day, my kids' life is better, and like all my immediate family and stuff. It's a pretty wicked thing to think about.
Yeah.
That it's not just me, but just and then not only that, I suppose as well, but the people that, not that I'm any expert but I get a lot of people ask me about my journey and stuff, and they say, oh, you've helped me and whatnot. Like it's such a trippy thing to think about. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. And, like, I remember at your 12-month anniversary and your mum threw you a party. And
my first birthday.
Your first birthday, gave your first birthday card. And just to be part of that was really cool,
Yeah.
It was good to see.
Mum asked me about that. She was like, oh, I'm going to invite Karen. I was like, yeah, do it. And then Mum got in her own head. Then I got in mine. She was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, like, is it crossing a lot, like, because, like the professional boundary and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, and then I started thinking about it. And Mum was stressing out. And then I was like, just ask her. She's like, what is it? I was like, she'll tell you. I was like, she's...
I asked my manager to make sure it was right. And,
But I mean, that was awesome. My first birthday. And that was the first time I didn't realise. I just, again, like this sort of selfish side of me, I just assumed that everyone's life revolved around me at that time, because I didn't realise until it was that, like my 12-month, my first birthday being sober, that it was the first time that you and Mum had met.
Yeah, I think I'd seen her at community stuff.
But I just assumed that, like, everyone's life revolved around me. Like, I was oblivious to the fact that you had other people that are going through, God knows what. Yeah. It's just, I'm the only person that matters. And same with, like, SJ and my mum and, like, all of that. Like, it was just so, like, my shit's the only stuff that matters, and everyone's... Yeah, so it was sort of only after realising that, that was the first time you guys had properly met. And I was thinking, I was like, that's sort of right. You had, you're helping me, and I was like, taking up a large amount of your time. And then you've still got to do other stuff. And the same with my mum, like they've still got to live life stuff. So as much as I sort of, at the time, thought that the world revolved around me, it was... Everyone was doing their best, but then having to do, cram in stuff to the other time to do the rest of the stuff. So, yeah, pretty crazy. But, yeah, that's about sort of all I've got written down. Have you got anything you want to add or?
No, I think that's really probably about it. Yeah. I think that's about
Is there, so for anyone that, as we said, it's not just like issues like mine, you guys provide all sorts of support and avenues and suggestions and help and all sort of, so people want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can either jump online to rawtas.com.au and have a look at what we do. That's got all the info on there. It's also got a callback request on there, so people can just fill out a form and someone will give them a call if they're not up to reaching out at that point in time. And then we've got our 1-800 number, which is 1800 729 827, and that's available for anyone to call from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. You guys aren't the be all and the end all, but you sort of get people there. Yeah.
You know, it's fill the big gaps, the big void that,
Hold your hand along the way.
which is the hardest place, like to get. As we said, that's the hardest bit to get to your bottom, to realise that you need help in whatever regard it is. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Like that bit on. So to sort of, you guys do amazing stuff. I know that I don't even know what my life would be. I sure as hell wouldn't be doing this if you guys hadn't come along. And I know some of the other positive stories I've heard from people. That's an amazing, amazing thing that you guys do. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Tough.
Cool.